to Cincinnati. Welcome to the jungle. Let's go. In the night, stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, day we ignite in Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle we unite in dripping orange and black and white. Day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle dripping heat, tigers strike the city streets. East side stand up, west side stand up. If you reppin' who that, time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Cincinnati jungle fitted. Who they in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping. Nasty, natty, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the pounce, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle we unite in dripping orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Stripes. Now who wanna move crossing on? Stripes. Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock 'em, yeah we got 'em, yeah we fought 'em. Like that black and orange up on 'em, bingo bought 'em, never stopping till the beast of feasting on 'em. Who they rockin' with the diamond stripes, flossing on the wings. Cincinnati, she's our queen, we gon' show the world who king. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, day we ignite in Cincinnati, we gon' rise in the jungle we unite in dripping orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Now who wanna move crossing on? Now who wanna move on? All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the show. This is Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm your host, the Iceman, Jeff Trunapole. And as always, I'm bringing you sports from a West Side point of view right here in the great city of Cincinnati, Ohio, home of Jackpot Joey Burrow and those Cincinnati Bengals. By the way, who won the AFC North, if anybody's forgotten. Now, I am on an hour earlier because Mike Petraglia is supposed to be joining me. So, Trags, if you're out there, I'm waiting on you. Anyway, so if not, it's going to be you and me. But if you found the show and you're watching on Facebook or Twitter and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, why not? Please do me a favor. Please go to the YouTube channel, Sports with Strawberry Ice. Hit the subscription button, hit the bell for the notification, and every time I go live, you'll be notified. And also, exclusively in the YouTube chat crew, we're doing super chats. So if you guys like to support what I'm doing, or if you have a question for me or Trags, if he shows up, which I'm hoping he does, give me a super chat. I would greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'm coming to you live from the Ice Cave, and the Ice Cave is brought to you by T Properties. T Properties, quality housing for quality people. Check out their website at www.tpropertiesllc for all your rental property management needs and your rental needs. All right, Trags just texted me back, and he said he'll be here at 4:45. All right, so it's getting later and later. So, all right, hopefully we will have him on then. 1 second. Okay. See you then. Then. All right. Sorry. Live show people. Anyway, Trags is a very busy guy. I said I appreciate any time he can give me. Also, he was the first guy I saw. This is what I've been dying to ask him. First guy I saw to tweet out the Lael Collins deal is done. He was the first guy I saw, so I want to talk to him about that. So anyway, what's up to everybody in the chat crew? Rob, what's going on? Josh, Richard, who else is in there? Just you three. So what's up? How about get in the car, but who day? Or you're about to get in the car, who day? I got you, Rob. I got you. Well, I appreciate you jumping on and listening to me early. So, all right. So we're kind of freewheeling here till Trigs gets here. But we got an upcoming weekend, and it just came up that Adam Schefter just tweeted out of when the Bengals are going to start their OTAs, their off-season workouts and stuff. And it is May 2nd. Now, from what I understand, and I don't know all the details, but I was under the impression that if you had a new coach, you could start earlier. And I know that's one of the reasons why the Bengals are one of the teams that are not starting earlier. Some of them are starting in April, and the rest of them are starting in May. And I know that's one of the reasons, but I looked at the list. I know not all those teams have new coaches. So I do know that's one of the reasons why the Bengals can't start until May and not April. But either way, if they are outside, I'll be up there on that bridge watching them and trying to get some cool videos and putting it together for you guys. Now, I don't know about you guys, but it's kind of weird because I think it was yesterday. Yeah, March 31st was supposed to be opening day for the Reds. And did you miss it? I mean, I didn't really. I mean, I'm kind of almost excited. I mean, I'm always interested. I've been watching the Reds training camp or spring training when they've been on the different channels that I have. I've gotten to watch them, and I just having a hard time really getting into them, and especially when Bob Castellini comes out and they do this interview with Tommy Thrall. And it's nothing against Tommy Thrall, but I think that whole supposed interview, was staged. I think Bob Castellini is lying through his teeth when he says, "Of course we're trying to win. Of course we're trying to do this under a budget and yada yada yada." And like, but look, I hope I'm wrong. I've said this before. I hope that I am completely and totally wrong about the Reds. I hope they come in, they are competitive, and they go to the playoffs, and they win this whole daggone thing. I hope I'm totally wrong about that. But if you're looking at the team from what we had last year and what we had 2 years ago, to me, I just don't see it, And I'm a little disappointed that if we're going to rebuild, Nick Lodolo, one of our highest prospects, didn't make the team. But Hunter Green didn't, so I'm excited to see him. And I know Crown Apple Kid, who's one of my loyal viewers, is very excited to see Hunter Green pitch. I know he pitched last night and he got destroyed. It wasn't a very good outing for his final outing before he goes and makes his first start. He'll be the number 4 starter. I was just kind of hoping that Lodolo would be on there. Now, I do think Lodolo will make his Major League debut this year, and I think the Reds are going to have a lot of players making their Major League debut. That does not bode well for a team that you are trying to sell us that is going to compete this year. We're not stupid. We're not dumb baseball fans. I mean, I'm going to go to games. I said at first I wasn't going to go to. I will go to a couple Reds games. I went to one last year, to be honest. Because I love going down to the ballpark. It's fun. I probably won't, if it's freezing here in April, I might not go until it gets warm. But I like going down there, having a dog and a beer and chilling out and watching baseball for a couple hours. It's fun. But if you had a competitive baseball team and I, as a fan, felt that you were actually trying to win and trying to compete, I would probably go to more games. And I know people say, well, it's because they got so many games on TV and yada, yada, yada. I was like, nah, dude. Every Bengals game is on TV. Every game is on TV. And this year, the stadium is, they're so close to being sold out of every game. So I don't want to hear that. And I know there's a lot more baseball games. I understand. I'm not saying the Reds are, Cincinnati's going to sell out GABP. They will if we go to the playoffs or something like that. And opening day, which actually I think opening day, whatever they even call it, because it's not actually opening day. It's the first home game here is still not sold out. And to me, that kind of should tell Bob Castellini a red flag going, well, maybe people don't believe we're trying to win. Like maybe we're not as sly as we thought we were. No, this fan base is pretty smart, and we know when we have a team that's trying to win and when we have a team that's not trying to win. And I'm sorry, the Bengals are doing everything they possibly can do to win. I mean, literally. I mean, they are even talking about an indoor practice facility, people. And one thing I want to bring up is I'm excited that they're talking about that. Is I'm hoping that's also wrapped into somehow a Bengals Hall of Fame, because that would be cool. Because I'm thinking, from if you guys are down there, where they got the concrete factory, Hilltop. I think the bubble's going to go there, and then if you go on the other side of the bridge, there's another big. It's a gravel lot that they use for parking, and I think Hilltop rents that out for parking or whatever. Anyway, to me, that's the spot to put the Bengals Hall of Fame right there too, as well. And I would love them to get a Bengals Hall of Fame, and that's the one thing I think needs to happen after. Obviously, we get the indoor practice facility. Hopefully, it all happens at the same time, but just the fact that Katie Blackburn has literally come out and said that they're looking at spots. Now, I don't think it's going to be up in Mason, or I don't think it's going to be over here in the west side. It's going to be somewhere downtown close to the stadium. Like I said, I'm assuming it's going to be Hilltop, because from what I've heard and been told is it has to be zoned different or something. And the city's been working on that for the last couple of years, trying to zone it so the Bengals can put their practice facility there. And it just makes more sense. Why would you have a practice facility that's, in Clifton, like they use the Bearcats one, or in Mason, or then you have to do the same thing that you're doing now, is go get on a bus and go to Clifton. You might as well just keep using the Bearcats one. So I'm assuming that they're going to have it somewhere close downtown for the players to be able to walk to it. And I know, speaking of walking, and this is one that cracks me up. I do my Bengals bridge crew videos, and I'll stand out there and I'll video the guys and say hi and welcome back to the season and everything. And then when they're walking across the street, and I've had not so many people, but I had a couple people going, I can't believe they have to walk across the streets to the practice facility. Like, that is the worst thing ever. I'm like, people have to walk from their practice facility in a grassy area to the practice field. It's the same thing. It's just a freaking street. That's the only difference. I've never understood why some Bengal fans get so uptight by that. But anyway, he has joined us live. He is in the waiting room. He is none other than Mike Petraglia. Man, my last name's Trunapole. You think I'd be better saying his name. My apologies for that, but I just like calling him Trags. Anyway, let's get to Trags.
Trags is good by me.
Yeah, that's easier. I just go with
Trags is a lot easier, Iceman.
I just go by Strawberry or Iceman most of the time. It's easy. Or Jeff, that's work. That whatever works. So Trags, what's going on, man? We've had a pretty eventful off season here.
One of the more eventful off seasons I can ever remember the Bengals having, and significant as well. And I think every Bengal fan tuning in right now and watching us would agree that the most positive takeaway is the fact that the Bengals saw a need in the Super Bowl that wasn't addressed, and they addressed it right away in free agency. They didn't wait till the draft. They didn't try and go bargain hunting, right? Bargain shopping during free agency.
Mm-hmm.
They went out
supposed to be cheap,
and they went out and got their guys.
Mm-hmm.
And most impressively, Terron Armstead went to the Miami Dolphins, right? And he went there for about $45 million, something like that.
Yep, something like that.
Bengals went out and got Ted Karras, Alex Kappa, and of course Lael Collins.
Yep.
For as much, for all intents and purposes, for as much as the Miami Dolphins paid Terron Armstead. You tell me this isn't a new era in Bengal management.
Exactly.
Bengal approach.
Yeah, exactly. And they did the same thing last year with the cornerbacks when they let Willie J. 3 leave, and they signed Mike Hilton and Chidobe Awuzie for the same price as Washington paid Willie J. 3. So I mean, it's a precedent that they've done before, and it's worked. And it's worked out tremendously, because I mean, Mike Hilton and Chidobe were huge parts of the team last year. And one thing I got to give a credit to you, because I was on vacation the week when Lael was getting signed, and you were the first person that I saw that tweeted it out that confirmed that he was signing. I'm like, oh, good. Yes. Great. I was going nuts. I was in Florida trying to find out what was going on, because I'm like most Bengals fans. I'm like, trade for him. Give him 31. Give him 31 and give him the second right. Because I didn't want him to go to free agency,
right.
And the Bengals not be able to pay him. But they did. I mean, and that's the other crazy thing about this. they stuck to their guns and it worked.
And, you know, you don't do that unless you have plan B and plan C and even plan D in your holster, right? You don't do that. You don't gamble in losing him to somebody else unless you have something behind that. And the Bengals certainly did, but their option number one was to get Lael. Obviously, Lael's going to have a very good relationship with Joe Burrow, both of them LSU products, and Jamar Chase and Thad Moss, I might add. But there is a synergy there now amongst the offensive linemen and Burrow. Mm-hmm. And I think it was really important for the Bengals to get Burrow to a place where he feels comfortable, that they went out and did the very best they could to get him more protection and get the offense more protection. This isn't just about Joe Burrow. No. It's about not being able to gain a yard 5 times in the Super Bowl. And yes. And I wrote about this a couple of weeks ago. That is one thing the Bengals are going to absolutely positively have to address next year. When it comes time, 3rd and 2, can you get 2 yards? When it comes 3rd and 1, can you get a yard? Can you get 1 yard when it matters most? And the Bengals, and that wasn't just in the Super Bowl. No. Fans obviously watching this know that happened way too often throughout the season. It happened in the Jet game a couple of times.
Well, red zone multiple times.
And one of the toughest things to do, obviously, in the red zone is run the ball in a low red zone. And the Bengals had trouble. I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs game almost turned into a catastrophe because of that.
Right. Exactly.
So that had to be addressed. That absolutely had to be addressed.
Yeah, and to add on to your point, how excited do you think Joe Mixon is? Because this will be the first time ever in his Bengal career that he actually has an offensive lineman. Trags, he can actually make his first cut beyond the offensive line. What a concept! He can actually run right. You know, it's different.
Well, and remember, this is Lael Collins who blocked for Zeke in Dallas, and he knows a bit or two about blocking for premier running backs who sometimes take their time to pick a hole, and when they hit the hole, they're gone. Right. And I mean, obviously Zeke Elliott is different than Joe Mixon. I mean, he's a different type of running back, but still, what you're trying to do is give him just, you know, half a foot to a foot of daylight, where Mixon's like, oh, that's all the space I need. I'm gone.
Well, that's the thing too. I don't think we're going to run the ball anymore, but I think it's going to be more, and I've said this a couple times, I think it's going to be more of quality of runs that Mixon's going to have now instead of quantity. Because he's going to have losses. It's going to happen, but he's not going to have as many. I mean, how many times would he, you know, do a 5-yard run and then he turn around and do a 3-yard loss? You know, I mean, in his Bengal career, those are going to be less and less this year. So his runs per average is going to skyrocket compared to what it's been.
If you can run the ball, Iceman, if you can run the ball, your play action is going to be infinitely better.
Yes.
Burrow is going to be a lot more effective throwing in play action. I mean, he was okay this year from my recollection of throwing in play action, but it was almost like play action was an afterthought. Play action was forced upon the offense, and obviously Brian Callahan and Zach Taylor. They were kind of forced into going to play action. Now they can implement play action as a main ingredient in the offense to throw it in there with, you know, that goes to Jamar and T. Higgins down the field.
Exactly. Now, everyone wants to know what the Bengals might do at 31. Matthew here says, Houday from Canada. If Kenyon Green and Tyler Linenbaum are both there at 31, which one would you guys take?
Linderbaum.
That's I'm with you.
I mean, to me, that's a no doubter. Everything I've read about the guy is he's a generational center. Mm-hmm. And who's the center from Kansas City? Hold on a minute.
The one they drafted last year.
Yep. I got my flip card from the AFC title game. See that? That's why I keep them.
Nice. That's
why
nice.
I keep them. Creed Humphrey.
Yes, Humphreys. There you go. Thank you. Yes.
And everything I've read, sorry about that. Everything I've read is that he can be another Humphrey. I mean, you come across guys that can, you know, play in a big time program against big time opponents like he did at Iowa. I think, you know, there's a lot to be said for that. And I think, certainly, if Linderbaum is available there, the Bengals scoop him up. The other guy that I want to focus on is Khair Alam from Florida. And, I don't, obviously Sauce is not going to be around. He's gone
No,
probably the first 3 or 4 picks, probably.
Yeah, I mean, Daniel Jeremiah has him going at number 2 now to the Lions.
I don't doubt that. I mean,
Yeah.
we've seen what an elite long cornerback can be of value to an NFL team, especially in the passing game. If you could shut down half the side of the field or, even a third of the field, that's incredibly important to a defense. But Stingley's not going to be around from LSU. So
no.
I'd like to see if they go with if Alam's available, do they go in that direction? If Linderbaum is off the board. The other guy I would keep a very close eye on, and in my final year covering Boston College football before I left in 2020, Zion Johnson.
Yes.
He is a monster, and he is somebody I would keep a very, very close eye on out of Boston College. He is somebody you could put in there for depth, and suddenly the Bengals, B+ or even B offensive line becomes B+, A-.
Oh, absolutely.
With their depth. And Bengals were very fortunate this year that they got through most of the season without significant injury. They lost Riley Reif, yes. And they obviously lost a couple of others along the interior offensive line, and they were forced to make do. They did so, got to the Super Bowl. But if you have, young pieces in that line, and you're able to add somebody like Linderbaum, or you're able to add a Zion Johnson, and they believe that's the best player on the board, then that's the direction I'm very confident the Bengals would go.
Yeah, and that's what's the best thing about what they did in the offseason as far as free agency goes, is they can draft the best player available, and the other thing,
great point.
If Linderbaum is there, I think they're taking him, because I've had some people going, well, they signed Ted Karras and they said he's going to be center. I was like, well, Ted Karras also said, because Dave Lapham asked him, what's your favorite position? And he said center. He goes, well, that's because that's what I'm playing this year. Ted Karras, I don't think cares. He'll play left guard, right guard. He'll play quarterback if he wanted to. He just wants to play football. He doesn't care where he plays.
Obviously, I covered him in New England with the Patriots, and he is a great, quiet leader, very intelligent. And look, when you have the trust of Tom Brady to play either center or guard, that tells you all you need to know about the intelligence level of Ted Karras. And very likable, a terrific leader. There's just so much to like about Ted Karras, and I think Bengal fans will really, really love him. Obviously, he has to produce on the field, and he has to be consistent, and he has to stay on the field. All of those things, assuming all of those factors are in play, Bengal fans are going to love Ted Karras.
Yeah, and to your point that you're saying that the Bengals were relatively healthy all last year, which they were, and that comes to what my point, what I've been saying. If Linderbaum or whoever at 31, there's not a guy there that they are like, that's the guy we want. If they're not a guy they're set on at 31, I can completely see the Bengals trading back and getting more picks, because I think, well, one, we have to improve the depth on this team, especially on the defensive side of the ball, because in a couple of years here, we got Jackpot Joey Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, all those guys coming up in contracts. And most of the guys on the defense are all free agents, and you got to be able to replenish them. They're not going to be able to sign everybody. So this draft, I think they need to do a lot of depth in.
Well, it'll be interesting how they decide to go in that direction. The other wild card is, how do they view Jesse Bates?
All right. Oh, yep.
So they have Jesse Bates this year. They have Jesse Bates next year if they so choose to franchise him. It'd probably be around $14 million, $13 million this year, maybe 14 and a half next year. But anyway, do they decide if Jesse doesn't want to sign long-term at a reasonable deal that is obviously fair to him, but also good to the team in terms of their flexibility as they approach Burrow and T and obviously Jamar, they've got to think for their next 3 to 4 years down the road. How is this roster going to take shape? Your point's a good one about stockpiling draft picks. However, if you're in the first round and there's a talent like Linderbaum available, you take him. You're not drafting back. I don't think, if that kind of talent is available and he's an impact player like a Khair Alam, because there's a lot of drop off in the corners after the first round from everything I've read and studied. I think the Bengals are smart enough to know, maybe we can take a second round pick and trade back. Maybe we can do a third round pick, trade back, or maybe we can do second and third round picks, trade back twice and get, instead of two picks, instead of, trading pick for pick, you get 2 extra picks. Maybe that's how they decide to do it.
Exactly. Now this has got to be a April Fool's joke here by a Crypt Keeper here, because he says, guys, what the hell? We are trading Joe Mixon. It's on NFL Network right now. Are you guys seeing this? What the hell is going on? Why do we do this?
I think my phone would be blowing up a little bit more if I'm safe to say, I feel safe in saying that if Joe Mixon were being traded, I would have more than just 3 text messages from my older daughter at Miami of Ohio on my phone right now.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I don't have any inside information.
No, I would say that's probably a April Fool's joke. I think it's safe in saying that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. There you go.
Yeah, there we go.
Robert says, April Fool's. That's why I'm like, there is no way they're trading him. I'm like, what? No. I looked at my phone. I'm like, there's no way. Anyway, Crypt Keeper is one of my loyal listeners, and he's kind of a silly guy. Yeah. But let's get to
he tried.
He said, gotcha. Yeah. You didn't really get us. We didn't believe you, so that doesn't count. But I want to get to Linderbaum, and I do think there's a shot that he could be there at 31. I didn't think there was at the beginning of the draft season, but since he's got short arms now, a lot of the mock drafts that I've done, which mock drafts taken for what they're worth, he's been there. So, and Elam has been there too. So there's a good chance that one of those guys could be there.
Short arms, but he's a center, and you're more concerned about his ability to call protections and his abilities to adjust, and overall his tape against superior competition. Like I said before,
right?
There's a reason NFL scouts have him slotted where they have him, and why he was invited and impressed at the NFL Combine in Indy. Look, I mean, you can find a weakness about any player if you really search hard.
Joe Burrow was going to retire because he had small hands. Remember that tweet?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Now, this is another one that a guy that I kind of like that Natural has put up here is Andrew Booth. I think he'd be a good pick. Now, somebody always tell me also that he might be injured, which I'm not aware of that. I still haven't had time to
haven't done I should have done my homework on Andrew Booth, but he is he's a corner.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, he's a corner.
and he's the kind of guy that if they take him later in the draft, maybe the second day of the draft, if he's around, maybe the Bengals do that. Don't really know. Maybe he's a guy that they trade, they trade back in they trade their second round pick and they trade back and he's still available and then they take him. And then it's not, and that's the other thing about trading back. When you take extra picks, it doesn't feel nearly as much of a risk when you take a reach on somebody who has, let's say, an injury history or someone who sat out a year in college.
Or you draft a kicker.
What's that?
I said, or you draft a kicker.
I think they're set at that for now. I think.
Well, I meant because they traded back last year. That's one of the reasons I think they were able to draft Evan McPherson.
Correct. But the other thing we keep in mind in a draft situation is there's so much conversation that goes on between teams and general managers as the draft is going on, and the dynamics of the draft change so quickly. But I still love the point you made that the way the Bengals approached free agency aggressively allows them to, maybe take a heavier swing in the draft than they normally would. Maybe they stay slotted at 31 and take the best available player instead of trading back. We don't know. I mean, because we really don't know what their attitude is in that draft room. And we'll have a chance a couple of times to, at least once, to talk to Duke Tobin and probably Zach Taylor before the draft. But, barring them spilling the secrets, which they will not do.
They won't, yeah.
We're not going to find out how they really view, the bottom third of the first round of the draft.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's so cool about this draft this year. For like last year's, we knew no matter what they all said, we knew they were going to draft jackpot Joey Burrow in the first round. We knew it, and
Right.
we either last year we knew it's either going to be Chase or it's going to be Penei Sewell. So there wasn't a whole lot of drama this year. To me, I think I find it so interesting because who knows? It really depends on which way the draft goes. And like I said, since the Bengals have put themselves in this great position, they can go just draft the best player available. I mean, they could. I don't think they're going to, but they could go draft a wide receiver if
They could.
Yeah.
I had Butch Hobson, Jeff Hobson of
Right.
Bengals.com on my podcast yesterday. You can, of course, get the Jungle Roar podcast wherever you subscribe to your favorite podcasts.
Absolutely. I listen to it all the time.
And if you listen to yesterday's with Jeff Hobson, he suggested exactly that possibility that if there is a wide receiver that they feel is the best player on the board, clearly the best player on the board, they will take the wide receiver. And because you don't know what's going to happen with Tyler Boyd, he's probably going to get his money and leave Cincinnati. And, nobody's going to begrudge him that. He's had a great career with the Bengals, but you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared for what's next. And that's the job of any general manager in the National Football League, always asking the question, what's next? What's next the next year? What's next in the next 3 years? What's next?
Yeah, that's the thing is that people have gotten on me here about looking to the future and stuff. And and I'm sorry, but the contract of Joe Burrow, Mixon, and T. Higgins is hanging over their head. It's going to happen. And I've said this. I mean, TB, this is his last contract with the Bengals. I love him, but this is his last contract. Joe Mixon, those two for sure. This is their last contracts with the Bengals because unfortunately the positions they play, you can draft guys and replace them, relatively easy. Now, one I think would be interesting is Chris Olave. If he is there at 31, I will not be shocked if they take him.
I wouldn't either. He's an Ohio guy, obviously, and Burrow would love. And Burrow, I'm sure, has a history with him,
right?
With his Ohio State roots before he went to LSU. I would be very surprised if he were. I'd be very surprised if he were still on the board at 31. I would. There's a possibility, though.
Yeah, that's the name. I think James Rapine is the one that keeps throwing it out there the most. But that's the one I keep.
I will have to have a discussion with James.
Go there, smack his head. Bad James. No, but yeah, but if he's there, and it's not crazy to at first. I'm like, there's no way they're going to do that. They're going to draft a wide receiver, but like you said, if that's the best player they have on their board, then that's what you do. And that's what the position they put themselves in. And you can go out and get another cornerback because I think they are still going to get another cornerback either in the draft or in free agency. But I personally don't think they're going to sign anybody outside of their organization. Like I think Trey Flowers, I think they're going to sign him. At least I hope so. And maybe Larry might be like more of a June thing, depending on his foot. But I don't think they're going to sign anybody outside the organization until after the draft right now to see how the draft goes.
I really I liked Trey Flowers a lot, not just as a corner who could, or a defensive back who could defend tight ends very, very well for the most part, but he was great on special teams.
Yes.
And special teams is a big deal. And, he is the kind of free agent you bring back at the right terms if he's still out there. And I think Trey Flowers certainly loved going to the Super Bowl with this team.
Right.
Who wouldn't? I think there's a place on the Bengals for a guy like that if he wants to come back and try to win a spot. And I think he would certainly have the upper hand if he did come back.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that he hasn't. They haven't signed Trey Flowers yet. Now, one thing I want to roll back to the Jesse Bates comment, and this is where I was trying to go until Crib Keeper just kind of took the show over there with the whole Joe Mixon thing. But this is one thing. Now, Blake Jewell was on my show last week, and he put this out there, and I agree with him that I think the Bengals are not going to do this because just look at the contracts that they've signed. They've all been very smart contracts. They haven't been over the top, but they haven't been cheap. They paid their players.
Yep.
I don't think they're going to break the bank and pay Jesse Bates. One, I'm sorry, the season he doesn't account to getting paid a ton. The playoffs do. He played really good in the playoffs. But that's where I'm like, I could see the Bengals possibly moving on from him if they don't, not this year, but possibly next year. If they don't get a deal done next year, there could be a possibility of them trading him and moving on and trying to get more draft picks, more players, something like that for Jesse Bates, instead of franchise tagging him twice and just letting him go for a compensatory pick, which they might not get because they've signed so many free agents.
So, your suggestion is that, or the suggestion is that he would be traded after the year?
Yeah, not after this year. They would
Yes.
franchise tag him this
I could
year.
see that. I definitely could see that. They're not going to trade him before this season.
No.
They would not
franchise tag out this year, and then if they can't get anything done next year, I can't see them tagging him again. I mean, they can, but
they
could move on from him.
I mean, they could, but yeah, they'd probably try to move on from him and get some compensatory picks. And I think they are going to make a strong bid because he's 25.
Right.
Because he's 25, he is entering his prime, in theory. I see Michael Madden is sending us a message that says, is it true that Bates wants between 18 and 20? David Mulugeta might want between 18 and 20 million dollars, and he wants the Jamal Adams contract.
Yes, and I think his agent is screwing him, but to be honest,
I do think there's part of that, but here's where, I mean, at 25, Jesse Bates has got to put his big boy's pants on and go and talk to David and say, hey, look, I love Cincinnati. If you get a deal that's 4 years, 65 million, which is just a little north of, 15 a year or 16 a year, let's say 16 a year for 4 years would be what, 72? Is my math right there? 16 times 4?
You're asking the wrong guy. Your math don't get along. I'll go with whatever you say.
64 million. So that would be 16 over 4 years, 64 million, maybe bump it up to 65, 66 with signing bonus money. And as I pointed out in my last column for CLNS, what's significant to understand is that the Bengals can do a lot with regard to guaranteed money or bonus money. And, guaranteed money versus future guaranteed money.
Right.
It's how they break down the contract through bonuses. And there's a lot that they can do and get creative. And they're willing to be creative for Jesse, but they're not going to go above a certain figure. And what we don't know is what that certain figure is. I don't think they're going to approach 18 million. No way. I'd be shocked if they went that high for that position. I just would. That's me.
So what's the franchise tag? What is that number at right now?
It's 12.9, I believe.
Okay, because I think they're at my own personal opinion. I think they're at 13 to 14 mil, and that's about it. That's where I think.
I think they go 15 to 16.
Okay.
Long term, and the other thing to keep in mind is the years.
Right.
They might give them short money, give them 3 years. Give them the 16 and a half, but only over 3 years.
Right. And the thing I don't understand, and then like you said, Jesse might have to put his big boy pants on and tell him, hey, I don't have to be the highest paid safety, which actually Jesse Bates was on NFL Network and said that I don't have to be the highest paid safety in the league. So that's where I'm kind of like, okay, if you're saying that and you love Cincinnati and you want to be here and you were all in last year, then you need to, like you said, I think I'm with you. He needs to put his big boy pants on and say, hey, get me signed, Well,
I mean, what he can do is he could take a 3-year contract that's heavily guaranteed, and then he's still only 28.
Right.
And then go out and get an even bigger contract. If he's willing to bet on himself and still have $45 million in the bank or whatever it is. Whatever. I mean, seriously, that's how, if you're Jesse Bates, don't you want to see how this run with Burrow at least goes for the next 3 or 4 years with Jamar, with with Tyler Boyd? I mean, this team is pretty loaded. And if you're someone like Jesse Bates, you've got a lot in front of you as well on the defense. People forget how good a linebacker Logan Wilson is.
Oh, absolutely.
And he is a very smart, the knock on him was he couldn't move side to side. And he can't, cover in space and all that. But he is an exceptional middle linebacker.
Absolutely.
And you've got that guy. You've got Joseph Asai coming back, who, for all intents and purposes, is going to be a rookie. I'm really fascinated to see how he plays.
I'm really curious about that one. That's the one everybody keeps saying, oh, we got an edge. Well, yes, but we don't know because you only saw one game. So to me, that's not something that they could definitely bank on, but I am excited to see what he can do.
It's going to be pretty spectacular, but we'll see. You're right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
You've got Hubbard, you got Hendrickson, and you've got BJ Hill, and you've got DJ Reader. I mean, you've got a lot on that defense, and you're going to have whatever's going to come in the draft this year. So if you're Jesse Bates, I think you want to sign, maybe if you don't get your long-term contract 4 or 5 years, maybe you take 3 years, still get a lot of money, and then move on, and then you have peace of mind, and you can say, I'm done with thinking about the contract for the next 3 years. I'm good.
And that's to me that would be the more important thing, because I think the contract was on his mind during the season.
No, at the beginning of the year, he admitted that.
Yes, and that to me, that's like, I agree. Go take a 3-year contract, go bank $45 million in your bank, and try to see how this run goes, and then go make more money. Because the thing is, if you're playing to not get hurt, because that's got to be in his mind. He's on if he takes another year as a franchise, if he gets hurt, then he's screwed. He's gonna be like Larry Ogunjobi, who broke his foot and now can't get a long-term contract because of his foot. And that's what is going to be on Jesse Bates' mind all the time. So if you take a 3-year deal with, like I said, $45 million in the bank, go for it and see what happens. But at least you have that. That's where this agent is driving me nuts. And it kind of scares me because he's also the agent for T. Higgins as well, too, where he's, beating his chest. Look what I got here. Look what I got here. And like, yeah, but you might be screwing Jesse Bates in the long run.
Correct. And the Bengals have been often criticized for not paying free agents, but the Bengals have a terrific history of paying their own players.
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And I think most savvy Bengal fans are very aware of that if the player has proven himself worthwhile in the organization, they're going to do everything in their power to get the guy signed and returned to the team. And give Troy and Katie Blackburn a lot of credit for that. They're savvy, they're smart. And if I want to tell Bengal fans one thing that I've learned about the Blackburns and how the Bengals are run in my first year covering this franchise, is that they don't do a lot of public talking. They don't do a lot of public posturing for the most part. They get the business done behind closed doors, and that is the best chance in this day and age for a team having a chance to bring a player back.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, since you brought up though, they don't do a whole lot of public speaking, with Katie coming out this week and publicly saying that they are actively looking for a indoor practice facility, which I know just Bengals fans.
It's so overblown, but go ahead.
Yes, it is. I agree. It's completely overblown. And I like that just to build the stupid thing so we can stop hearing about it. I mean, to be honest, that's where I'm at. But Katie and the Blackburns don't say anything about stuff like this unless it's actually in the works. So that's a good sign that this is in the works. And I got a question. Like you said, it's overblown. And I agree with that. I don't think it's that big of a deal because she got asked, "Are you doing this to attract free agents?" Well, look who they've attracted the last 3 years.
Correct.
We haven't had one. So I don't think.
Great point, Iceman.
Yeah, I think Joe Burrow is more the attraction than the indoor practice facility.
Yeah, I would think so. The reason they want the indoor facility is so that they don't have to bus up to UC when the weather gets bad. They want that facility across the street, convenient, so that the players, like they do in a lot of other NFL teams, they can easily adjust and make the transit inside the facility, and they can do a little more planning. Let's say that the Bengals are playing in Tampa next year, early in the season, and it's going to be 90 degrees. Well, you can go indoors and replicate heat and humidity even better than, if it's hot or not outside. You don't know. You don't control the weather. But when you're in an indoor facility, you can control those conditions. And that's what Belichick used to do all the time with the Patriots when they would get ready to go down to Miami. He would crank up the heat to about 80 or 85 in the bubble, and it would simulate those type of conditions and conditioning and get the team ready. And I always thought that was really important. And that's really why you do it. So you can not only control climate for when it gets cold, but you can control climate when you go to a real warm weather area or, some type of conditions that you're not experiencing in Cincinnati.
Right, absolutely. Because I remember I go to a lot of the practices, and I don't know if you noticed or not, but I'm the crazy guy that's usually on the bridge overlooking the practice field, watching them. And
I am at
so
Iceman. I've seen you up there.
we should say hi sometime.
I should. Although they frown upon me going across the warning track in the back of the field, just to go off to the. Well, that's by the way where I think one of the sites might be for the indoor facility, right close, on the bridge side of the practice facility. I think that's a possibility. I'm not saying I know anything because I don't.
Right. It's going to be down. It's going to be down there. Some people are like, "Oh, well, they're going to put it up Mason." They're not going to put it up at Mason. They're going to. That's stupid. Anyway, that's just dumb. But what I was going to say was, I remember last year, I got caught in a torrential downpour. I was stuck on the bridge, and it was just dumping. And I'm going, yeah, this would be kind of nice for them to have an indoor practice facility now. And I'll never forget this, because actually it was my last one I went to. Because like the week after I ended up getting COVID, and then I never could go back again, because then they started doing practice inside the stadium. But anyway, I remember Zach Taylor walking back, and I'm standing there soaking wet, and he goes, "You're out here every day?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I probably should have brought an umbrella this time though." He goes, "Yeah, you should plan better next time." I said, "Yeah, I agree with you," because I was soaking wet, and I'm like, "Man, you guys are practicing this, but they got to play in it, so it is different." But I mean, to practice and try to put a game plan together, it'd be a lot nicer if you have an indoor practice facility. But to the point of the beginning of this conversation, I don't think it has anything to do with attractive free agents or anything like that.
It's about preparation and about suitability of game conditions during practice. That's really what it's about.
Exactly. All right, Trags, so you give me about 47 minutes. I don't want to keep you much longer. I appreciate you. I know you're a busy guy. Tell everybody about Field Media and your what do you got there? Oh, Villanova. Oh, that's you got them tonight, or I mean Saturday night.
Saturday night, yes.
Yep. Yeah, it's good.
I went there, proud alumnus. We've had a great run for the last 6 years. So go Nova. V for Villanova, V for victory. My stuff, as you were about to say, can be found on Twitter at Trags, Trags. You can follow me on Instagram at Trags1, and of course at CLNS Media.
And then you got your podcast too that you talked about.
Jungle Roar podcast. You can please subscribe and listen wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. That would include Apple, Stitcher, a lot of Spotify, any of those platforms.
Pretty much wherever you get your podcast. That's what I always say on mine. Yeah. Jeff Hobson Butch is somebody I've been dying to get on my show. Say, hey, next time you see him, say, hey, you got to go on Iceman's show. He's a great guy.
You know what? I'll try and work him. I have a pretty good in with Butch, so I'll see what I can do.
That would be awesome. I appreciate it, Trags. All right, man. I appreciate it. We'll have to do this again sometime. Hooday.
Take care.
See ya. All right, guys. Like I said, go follow Trags. He's a great guy. He's, like I said, he takes time out of his day to come on my show. So I appreciate it. He's a great follow. And like I said, he was the one that I first one I saw to break the news about La'el Collins. So he is locked in as much as anybody is, as far as anybody who follows the Cincinnati Bengals. So go follow him on Twitter. Go follow him on Field Media, and go subscribe to his podcast. All right. With that being said, I think I want to go and roll on out of here. It's the weekend. It's Friday. It's sunny. It's April. Baseball's gonna be starting soon. I don't know if anybody's excited about it. I like baseball. I love baseball, actually. I'm not that excited about the Reds. I hope they would do something to improve the team. Like I said at the beginning of this broadcast, I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Reds prove me completely wrong. I hope Bob Castellini, when he says that he's won the win, that he actually is, and this team's going to be better than I think it is, but we'll find out. Anyway, let me get to the Facebook groups that let me live stream, and I appreciate every single one of them. They are Houday Nation, Houday Legion, Bearcat Country, Bearcat Ruckus, Cincinnati Reds riding third, heading for home, the Ohio State Bucknuts, the Ice Bar, and then you can follow me on all my social media platforms, all under Sports with Strawberry Ice. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Twitter handle is at Jeff A. Trunapole. TikTok is at Iceman90. Yes, I'm an old guy who does TikTok It's usually just talking trash about other teams and just enjoy having some fun. I will be pulling off the salad later on tonight, putting it on the podcast. Please make sure you rate, like, and review. Give me a 5-star review. You can check it out on BeanPod, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, Google, Stitcher Play, pretty much wherever you get your podcast. The only one I don't think I'm on iHeartMedia or iHeartRadio. So maybe someday I'll get there. Tell your friends, tell your neighbors. Please do try to boost up my views there. I would appreciate it. YouTubers, I'm at 1,539 subscribers. That is awesome. Trying to roll to 2,000 subscribers. Hopefully by the time the new football season rolls around. So that would be in September. So tell your friends, tell your neighbors to please support my show and subscribe to the YouTube channel Sports with Strawberry Ice. And other than that, it's the weekend. Go have some fun. Like I said, I'm looking out the window. It's nice and sunny here in Cincinnati or wherever you guys are watching the show. As always, I appreciate every single one of you guys. I'll see you Monday. And that's just sports, baby. See ya!
Let's go. Orange in the day, black in the night. Stripes in our veins, sparks gonna fly. The beast is awake, orange, black and white. Cause when the jungle come alive, day we ignite and Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. Day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Wake up the beast, every day is a feast. Time to bust it off the leash. In the jungle dripping heat, tigers strike the city streets. East side stand up, west side stand up. If you reppin' who they, time to put your hands up. Bengals stripes, we in it. New day, new age, yeah, we get it. Jungle fitted, who they in our house, we win it. Orange and black and white, we build it. Earn our stripes, you know we kill it. Bleed our colors, jungle dripping, nasty, natty, yeah, we live it. Lit the crowd, get the city loud. Yeah, we feasting now. Fit the pounce, make the city howl. Now we beastin' now. Thunder through the tunnel, from the sideline to the huddle. Stripes we tatted on the jungle when we flex that who they muscle on them. Stripes, Cincinnati, we gon' rise and in the jungle we unite and dripping orange and black and white. All day when we fight, live and die in these stripes. Stripes. Now who gotta move like it on? Stripes. Now who wanna move dancing on? Stripes. Now who wanna move on? If you got stripes and you let the city know you rock them, yeah we got them, yeah we follow. Like that black and orange upon them, bingo bottle, never stop it till the